Everybody, because some people have, they want
Right.
more basic information.
Probably still email, but yeah, I can send it to you again.
Welcome, 2024.
Email, and I don't have an email from you.
I know.
It was nice writing.
Either give to you as a piece of paper or send it some Gmail, but I can send it again. I can dig it out.
Resend.
Jason's here, we can start.
Jason's back.
Yeah, it's actually perfect timing. So the Finance Committee of August 27th will call to order. We have all of the council members here and various staff members. So thank you very much. Did we have any changes of our minutes that we were looking at August 13th minutes?
No.
Okay, we'll move those forward as grouped. And department reports and presentations, just Brian, of course, with personnel updates.
Good evening. We have no new hires or promotions as of this pay period, or since the last time we met, our conditional letters. We have a fleet manager recruitment that closed this past week, and we're interviewing next week. We have a community service officer recruitment going, no vacancy, but we do want to create an eligibility list in case there are potential vacancies because of the long process to bring someone on, going through the process of the background process. This one, the accounting specialist 4 closed and now it's open externally. Closes in a week or two.
First review.
First review is September 4th. And then the maintenance worker is closed internally and now it's open until next week. Are there any questions?
You said the fleet manager is an offer out on that then? Or?
Oh, no, we're interviewing next
Oh,
week.
still
Yeah,
interviewing?
and this is a newly created position.
Yeah.
Yep. That was not for before.
They're cutting it down to interviews.
Yeah. Gary, Quinn, any
No.
question?
I was looking through here. So the internal one that's closed internally, so you're opening it up on the 4th of September.
So yeah, the two that were internal first because they were asking positions, the accounting specialist 4 opened up on the same day that it closed internally. And now it's a first review of September 4th. That was the accounting specialist 4.
And maintenance.
Yeah, and then the maintenance worker streets, I believe closes next week on the 5th of September.
Well, I got
Do we have anything on that tonight on the session on the issue that we were working on the other week or?
For a closed session?
Right, yeah.
Yes, we're having a closed session tonight about
Okay.
it.
Very good, thank you. More fun. All right, so we'll move along then to the migration issue that we're looking at for our project for Eden and Tyler. ERP.
Yeah, so I know one of the questions last finance was, well, what are other local places using? And so I looked at Washington and Oregon. There's 77 different Munis customers. 30 of those have migrated from Eden to Munis, and the other ones either just went straight to Munis or used something else and have gone to Munis. It's on page 12 and 13 of the packet, so it kind of gives you a general idea. A lot of them right around in this area, kind of quasi-similar size. You've got University Place, Sumner, up to Puyallup, Lakewood, I won't read them all, Enumclaw. Those were Eden customers that have since moved to Munis. A lot of other agencies just were already on Munis, so that's where the other 47 is, gives you a total of 77. So we're in good company. Most agencies have are doing this Eden to Munis. Some started much earlier ago. like Sumner, they started 5 years ago. They are now in the process of taking Munis from on-prem to the cloud, so they're kind of having to pay for this twice. On-prem is not an option, and I would not suggest, I guess, going that route. But I'm here to answer any more questions. We kind of got cut off last time, so
Mhm.
I'll just.
One thing that I was thinking about, we want to make sure, of course, that we don't have to do any kind of a bid process or anything because of the cost of it, being.
We consider this a sole source upgrade, so no, it doesn't need like an RFP and a 3-bid process because it's sole source.
I wouldn't, it's sole source. You won't sell me on sole source, but what you did sell me on was that we are not paying for the software. So that an auditor would say, we're not purchasing the software, we're switching, so we're only paying for the service costs.
You're paying for the migration.
The
and
migration, right.
Yeah, conversion.
Oh, so it's a version, is that what
So,
we're saying? It's a version
it's a-
change?
Yeah. Because you're right, sole source, an auditor would say, no, you'd still have to do an RFP because there's other softwares out there. But we already own this product and we're
Yeah.
converting.
Right, yeah, because don't we normally, if we did a sole source kind of, we'd have to have a declaration or a resolution or something that.
Yeah, it's-
Declares it as. Somebody does.
It's an act to get sole source, so we try to avoid that from the auditor.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Sure.
Okay.
Good stuff.
And last meeting, you mentioned that you'd like 6 months time.
Time,
You
more
kidding?
than less.
I mean, and is this a time sensitive thing? Do we? you know,
Yes, it does sunset.
It does sunset, if we haven't moved either to some other product.
Yep.
Or signed a contract with Tyler. January 1st, 2027, Eden is completely unsupported, which means if someone has an issue, someone has a question, they will not answer the phone. If we've signed a contract with them, then they will support Eden throughout our entire migration. Realizing that because we're still their customer.
Mm.
But they gave notice. It will be, the notice was for 6 years. So they told us in 2022, then 2027 is complete end of support unless you signed a contract with them to migrate.
And while I would say, yes, I want more time, Chuck has been very good about holding my hand, trying to get me over there. The downside, if we don't upgrade sooner than later, I know the minute wanted to bring back a B&O tax, and we can't really do that because it was about, off the top of my head, I think it was $75,000 for the licensing and having somebody come in and manipulate the software to allow it to work with the business and occupation software. So, it would just continue to delay that process as well, and the city really needs that, so. Chuck has kind of talked me into if council approves at a January 1 start.
And we can't get on their schedule until we sign a contract.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and they start these quarterly, so they only have so much staff. So they assign a quarter to start the process. We can say we want to wait till January, we can say we want to wait till April of next year. But we could say, hey, we want to start in January, and they can say, well, we already have that all booked up, you have to wait till April. So Sherry said I was nuts if I wanted to get this pushed through during budget, so I said, okay, no problem, we can
He
wait.
delayed for me. Like I said, he's been holding my hand, trying to get me there. So what I've come to find out is there's never going to be a good time for finance. I just don't have the people to do it. So I'm okay with January.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering about the resourcing of it, right, Chuck? For, I don't expect you to be the project manager internally for it, or somebody, there's gonna be, I don't know how you guys are gonna do that, basically, unless you.
So they assign a dedicated project manager
They
to
do
it,
on their end.
right?
And that's natural.
Right, and then would they have implementation consultants that
Yeah,
either do
Sure.
virtual or come out and
Yeah.
guide us through? A lot of this is up to the actual departments to do a
sure.
lot of the heavy lifting. They'll learn how to do it, and then it's, hey, for the next month, you're setting all this up that we just
Sure.
taught you how.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what I'm wondering is from our side, from the city side, you know, it doesn't, I don't know, without adding, you know, labor hours internally, how you can make this work. Cause, you know, how are you gonna do that?
So that's kind of, you know, Councilmember Hubler brought up last time and, you know, I said, you're not gonna get anybody in my department to give this up to somebody else to help. You know, you're gonna wanna see this,
Sure.
this, it works. So giving up any of that work is gonna be really hard for my staff. Now Jason's staff might be different.
I think, but I think the same thing's gonna be true of the permitting center. They're
Don't
gonna,
want
the
it.
permit centers and the planners are gonna want this the way they want it.
Sure.
Because they're gonna have to live with it day in and day
Well,
out.
and this is the time to make process changes, not set this up like Eden, like we've always have, but go, how can we be more efficient?
Yep.
And do this a different way. And that's kind of where the Tyler consultant says, well, you know, we've done this 20 different ways. Everyone seems to think this is the best way. It may or may not work for you, but
Yeah.
you know, we're gonna open your eyes and say, this process may work much better than the way you're currently doing it. So it's a time to really look at all your process and make those changes at this point, as opposed to say, okay, when we just want it like we did, and then you never make those changes.
And in support of that, in the personnel costs, there might be some overtime, like Chuck put in the budget for that. People that don't want overtime are gonna try to figure out how to fit it in their day, and they're gonna make it work. And Chuck has built in extended time to implement this because he knows that people are busy. And so you might not be able to work on this every day. Maybe you can only work on it one day a week, you know? So he did, I think Eden said it would take X amount. Chuck's like, yeah, okay, we'll add to that, just so that we know there's time.
Yeah.
You know, coming back later.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's why this budget is high, is because I don't want to have to come back in 2 years and go, you know, I just need another 70,000. I want this to be the number. So
Well,
The
it is,
staffing
the-
cost
it is
is
the
in here.
number, what,
I mean,
How
it
do
could
you-
be less, right?
how do
But
you-
now,
Now they're asking for 970.
yeah.
And
We
I
already
would say-
have 300 saved.
And I would say from the permitting side, you know, one of the challenge, you know, I've talked to all the council members. We just have problems with that system, and the staffing levels over there were set up assuming that we were moving to a better permitting software that was more automated. While it looks, and I've talked to the mayor about this too, while it looks very digital on the front end, on the back end, it's still the old analog system. They get the permit in, they have to hand key it into Eden, they have to hand calculate the fees. That all takes time, which takes staff. We're down to 2 permit people in the permit center because that decision was made knowing that this was coming. And so we really needed to make sure that that permit center and that plan review process is efficient. And also so we can pull the reports and everything that we now have to do for the state for reporting. So, it's very critical to our operation.
Finance doesn't hate it, but there are things we know that can be improved, especially the relationship between HR and finance, or HR and payroll, as well as, I spend, probably what, 3-4 weeks, Joan, on the budget book, and this will make a budget book for me. So that saves about a month of my time.
And the other thing too is it provides greater transparency on the front end. Because and Chuck, I'm going from our demo.
Mhm.
Once we implement this, the plans that get submitted to us are saved in the cloud on their platform. So when people want to see the plans, they can go to the public facing side of this and actually see those documents that were submitted.
Yep.
So
There
there's an
is
increase- there's a-
mayor council piece as well that lets you drill into expenditures when you're comfortable doing it. Not saying, hey, Sherry, can you run a report for me and let me see some paper? So you can actually go into the system, and it's a much smaller piece than like a Socrata's big open government, anyone can go see anything. But it's designed for mayors and councils to be able to look directly at Munis and look up things directly yourselves.
So like for the vouchers, instead of emailing me or something, you'd be able to look that up and go, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense, or you go, what?
And there's some things that we'll be able to build into it. So if someone wants to, I think we're getting that part where we can build in some of the automatic things, like I'm building a house and it will walk them through what permits they would need
Yeah.
to submit.
which you and I have had many discussions on that.
Yeah, so it would walk people
Knowing
through.
what permits they need, or they're starting a business and they have no idea. They're thinking, oh, it's gonna cost me about $40,000. And they're like, oh, 10,000 additional permits later.
So like, you
I
know,
had no idea.
because
what I was getting into.
it's GIS based. And so if you put an address in and it says, I want to do a single family home. Well, it can tell you that that property is within 200 feet of the lake tap. So you now need a shoreline, you may need shoreline permitting. Right? Huh?
Good luck.
Well, no, I mean, it's just,
Uh-huh.
it's all GIS based. So
Betcha.
not to say there won't be hiccups, but it will at least begin to walk people through
Yeah, it tells them the basic stuff. Yeah.
the basic stuff that they don't get completely caught off guard where they walk in.
These guys are like, from the council's expectation is a little bit different than what, you're fine from the staff side, but there's always the like, oh, really? I have to have a permit for that?
Yeah, I think you'll always, you have to know that, you have to know that you need a permit to get into the system. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I think the big education is before you do stuff, just call us.
Yeah.
And we can answer that question, but it will help you, once you know you need a permit, to point you in the right direction of the things that you need to submit. And it may get to a point where, hey, I can't answer this, but you need to call this staff person.
It'll help a lot. I'm sure.
Another thing that is part of this, which we really haven't touched on, is police scheduling. So right now they use a different system. Planet is what it's called. You might be familiar with it.
I'm not.
But it doesn't talk to Eden whatsoever. So they fill out their schedule, they add request time off there, but then they got to do their timesheet somewhere else and request time off officially somewhere else.
And then to add to that, they have a 160-hour schedule, not I work 5 days a week or 40 hours a week. So then Patty has to quarterly go in and see, did they really make their 160 hours? Because that crosses months. And so we have to then go in and audit that. We don't have to do that with this.
Munis has a scheduling, because they bought it, that directly ties in. So you schedule in for the PD and that schedule gets just put on their timesheet automatically, unless they call out or do something else, the exceptions. So it really helps the police as well. And they demoed that and they said, yeah, we want to go with that. So that's why it was included in here as well.
And then you're saying, you're okay with a January 1 start?
I wouldn't be sad if they told me I couldn't do it till April, but yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so is
Wait,
that when we're signing the contract, or do we sign the contract now saying that it's going to start January 1st? Therefore, once we have a contract, they can put us on the schedule for January.
We would sign the contract when council approves it. The mayor would sign the contract and then we would ask to be put on January 1st. Hopefully there's still room.
Right.
Yes.
The later we wait, the less likelihood that happens.
So, on the unit side, on Tyler's side, will they have like templates for each department, kind of things already kind of like, here's how like the basics of it, and then you guys plug and play and start building from there?
Generally, what we've done in the past, like when we went from Eden Command to Eden Inform Gold, and it's gonna be somewhat totally different software, but somewhat similar path, is we work in a test environment or a training environment, and they build things out. They will show you how to build a permit, or they will show you how to start building your general ledger chart of accounts in a test environment. The homework is, here's your template. Now go into the production, the live, the real environment, and start building. And then we'll look at what you've done at the next session. And if you have questions between, they can be
And then
answered.
like payroll would be a dual process through the new system and the old system. So we know that the old system's right. And how did it run in the new system? Wait, there's errors here, or hey, it worked.
And we do.
And utilities would be the same way. You would run both, and even GL. Everything, before we commit to going live on the new system, both systems would be running in parallel. You'd still be on Eden, but you'd run it in, whether it's just a GL process or an AP process or a check run, you'd run them in both sides. You want to get the same numbers.
And we'd be doing the same thing in the permitting side.
Okay.
And would this new system allow for the monthly billing with the water bills?
That's not
Eventually?
part of it, no, not initially, so, we have to finish, and you'll hear more about this at the budget time, but we have to finish upgrading all of the rest of the meters to radio reads before we can do that. And then we can start forward with having those discussions. We don't have everything on a radio read yet.
Okay,
I
well,
see a little
that's a
nervous
whole
over here.
another can of worms
So-
right there. Well, but
So Ryan brought forward a decision card last time, the 23 budget, and it was declined by council. So he still needed to get some of these on the radio. So until they're all on radio,
And there's two parts of radio read. There's radio read the meter is the same, but what it's shooting to is different. There is shooting to a network of antennas that's reporting back to the city, and it's reporting,
well, that's AMR.
that's AMR.
That's automatic.
That's automatic read.
That's
and
different.
And that's different from radio read. Radio read it's just sitting, the truck is driving around, and instead of them getting out and wanding over the meter or opening it up to look at it, as the truck goes by, it sends a signal to the truck.
and we're okay with radio read. We don't want we
We
don't
are
have to
not
have the
moving
automated
forward
one.
with automated at this point. Yeah, the
Okay.
mayor has said, let's focus on getting on monthly billing, and once
Yeah.
we can do that, we'll consider possibly automated. And
Yeah, I have lots of questions
On
about
the radio read already?
what's that?
Is part of the city already?
Yes.
It's a large portion.
Yes,
Okay,
like,
that's what I
I
thought.
think pretty much the entire county is right now.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is AMR, which is the meter shooting a signal to an antenna that's sending it back to a computer here at the city, and it's doing it
Which will
on an hourly or
It's too expensive.
2 hourly basis. So that's AMR. Then there is just AMI, or actually, that's more AMI. AMR is just, they have the little meter box, and it's a radio, and when the meter reader drives their truck around, they have an antenna in their truck, and it sends a signal at that point, and that's the only time it sends a signal.
Okay. I thought
That's
it was
AMR,
done
AMI is
a
the
couple years
big
ago or
infrastructure.
something, when it was updated to
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got
I remember that
about,
happening.
oh, 3/4 maybe?
oh, I think we're closer than that. I think we'll be pretty much wrapped up this year, and we'll have a handful of meters, because.
You said the end of 25 would be wrapped up.
Yeah, middle of 25, we should be wrapped up.
Okay. And then once that's done, everybody's on the digital side, then we would be able to do our own billing for.
We
To this
do
unit.
billing, but we would not bring billing in from Idaho, if that's what you're asking. That's not part of it, but we want to switch to monthly billing. So it'd still go
Okay,
through
okay.
Idaho, but we do. it
You know
monthly.
how, like,
Yeah.
with the water bill, you get a big bill, and you have water
There's small
and sewer,
bill.
and then the small bill is
Yeah.
just sewer, and then every other month, so we were thinking that,
Help it. The budget.
by making it monthly, then at least people can budget
Yeah.
for their water and sewer. You know, it just,
I'm
it doesn't make
lucky
it less,
enough
but
to
it makes it feel less.
I'm still septic, that's my house.
As long as you don't have a grinder, you're
Nope.
good, then you're good.
Mine is perfect.
Because that's like your.
Standalone,
Yeah.
it's so nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Keep that to yourself, under wraps.
no, where mine's at, there's no access to sewer, so I don't have to
Just
worry about
right
it.
down the road,
Not
your
yet.
neighbors have it.
I don't think it's coming down our road.
Oh, yes, it is.
Coming to a road near you.
It's down far enough, it sits right in the middle of the road, and the next one down,
Don't
but it
worry,
has to come.
when Corliss
around.
finishes their big development right there at your edge, then that'll be
We
just
should
sitting
be able
right
to,
there.
go into Ptarmigan Ridge,
I know, just very.
because theirs is right there, and it's right across the street from it.
Uh-huh.
She's got it all planned out.
Mhm.
Don't worry, we'll all be gone by then.
So just like so as you guys are building this system, if we say yes, and you guys are building this system, you'll do everything side by side. They will be able to help you guys, though. You'll have somebody from.
Oh, yeah, a large portion of the cost is implementation, is
Okay.
their staff supporting us
Okay.
As well as migrating.
and migrating. Yes, but,
5 years, was it?
it's 5 years of summary data, which is much different than saying 5 years of detailed data. We're still keeping a read-only version of Eden.
Okay.
So for historic, if we have to go back and say, well, how much did, Brian got paid in 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
That's not gonna be in Munis, but it will be in Eden, and we'll keep that running.
Okay. And as the migration is happening, will there be pieces that are basically like downloaded from Eden that can be uploaded into Munis for things that you want to be able to save? So like on, the accounting side, you know your chart of accounts, here's everything's ready to go. Can you download that and upload those?
Yeah, that's the conversion.
Okay. That'll make your life a whole lot
A
easier.
little bit, yeah, yeah. The payroll one scares me. What actually really scares me about the process, and maybe you could talk about this, and maybe I shouldn't be airing this here, is the fact of having two softwares, trying to figure out how I'm gonna do financials. That's where I'm about ready to have a heart attack over, but I don't have to worry about that till the end of 25. But
And
how's
that's
that
the
work?
benefit of in talking with our sales rep, they say, well, your GL is gonna take 9 months. It's gonna take us a year. So if we start in January, that puts us at a go live right around January, so you get a clean break in your calendar year.
But kind of,
Kind of, you're still having to do back
Flip
entries, you
switch,
still got
because-
a lot of things.
like Jason's not gonna be on the system yet, so his stuff's gonna go into the old system, right?
His stuff is going through Tyler cashiering. So it's going to go in Eden
Okay.
for permits, but Tyler cashiering, the GL is gonna fit to you. So your GL, when you go live in Munis, everything's going to your GL. You're not going to Eden GL and then importing and exporting for the next 3 years.
But are they gonna go dual so that we can make sure everything's going across correctly then?
Yes, until we're confident. Yes, and
Capturing will send it to Eden and Tyler.
I can't speak specifics
Okay.
like that. It
That sounds like a
may,
government answer.
It depends.
it depends, yes.
Here to help.
Yeah.
Why don't I feel confident?
But I will say, when we went live, it
We're
took
gonna
us
find him, John, it's not on me, I'm just saying now.
2 years to go live on
Swapping.
Eden's utility billing because we could not get the bills to show correct information on both sides. So it was a back and forth, back and forth. We were one of the first real entities on utility billing for that version of Eden. And we paid the fine. We are not, as you can see,
Right.
one of the first entities that have converted. Why I didn't even bring this up to council, because I wanted a bunch of other entities to go through the pain
Mhm.
that we don't have to.
Yeah. Good call.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
from the council's perspective, we have to do something, obviously, because we have to, move away from the old software. So
Right.
at some point in time, that's the do something. There is a no.
Council, I mean, sorry, Chuck, if the council said, hey, or the finance committee, we wanna do an RFP to make sure, that's your decision, you can certainly ask Chuck to do an RFP.
That would be those, the staff level kind of thing to me, kind of establishing whether or not you guys were like, hey, I think we should take a look out there or whatever, but.
I think if we're already using Tyler for other things, we would, and we've already owned the software, we would then have to buy more software if we went with a different one either way. So I think if some staff are already learning and know how to use Tyler, if we're already using Tyler cashiering, there's already perks to continuing with Tyler. I'm normally a huge proponent for all the bidding.
Process. Yeah.
I think that's normally a very big thing, but I think if we're already using this software, it's something that we're just gonna change in the rest of the city into it, rather than it's not like a brand new system for everybody. It's only part of this, well, I guess it's a big part of the city would be new to it, but
It's pretty much a brand new system. The only thing that is currently on there is cashiering, but Chuck, but not Chuck. Chuck and I did talk. That's Chuck and talk.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We talked.
We
Yes.
talked. We can't really think of any software out there that would be something that would work for everything. HR, payroll, finance, GL, UB, permitting, requisitions, all of it
Sure, yeah.
It's gonna be a universal service.
Yeah, there's just not a software out there that does everything.
But there must be a lot of other cities doing other things, so.
Sure, like
Down-
we're doing financial stuff on Springbrook and they hate it. But Springbrook doesn't do, are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're doing a lot of manual processing
Yeah.
at Springbrook.
And-
So
and-
you're downloading a lot of stuff to Excel. It's a very huge cost and it doesn't serve permitting. It
And-
doesn't serve UV.
And then there's other agencies that have permitting specific software that then they try to patch over and on the back end talk with Eden.
Yep.
Which, when there's a problem, neither Eden or the patch, they'll blame each other, right? Like, it's not our software, it's Eden not taking our data, or Eden will say, no, it's their patch. And so you don't have that blend, because I know that's happened before, as you've got that back end connection between the permitting process, because it's a separate system.
Well, and the other issue with permitting, that kind of you haven't had to deal with yet, unintended consequences of us all using the same software. Patty has become an expert and able to go through permitting and help Jody and,
Right, yeah.
one of the others go through a lot of the, remember?
Yeah.
I don't know if you, how much you were part of that, but we had to go through and Patty's like, all right, this isn't my expertise areas, but I can see here, here and here, this is where things are not being coded correctly. And we were able to solve a lot of problems, even though she doesn't even work in permitting.
Yeah, how the system functions, you have a lot more expertise as it's one singular system versus, because the way we query something in permits is the same way you query it in the financial side, the same way you do a search is, the same way you enter data. So it helps me too, is I need to go in and look at something like a ledger report. I know how to run the ledger queries because I run the same, I won't say the same display, but it's the same, you're looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
So my thought is that, I know council, we want to try to save money, we want to try to keep within budget and everything, but also at some point, we're hearing from staff. They're the actual people who have to work with this program and they're advising us that this is what they want. And so, I think we need to weigh heavily on what staff wants. And, regardless of, I think it would be more expensive if we went with another program, even if we did go and get 3 bids, because we're gonna have to purchase the whole nother software and everything else. So I think this is the
piecemeal.
most, and piecemeal it together and then try to get all of the systems to work. So that would require a lot more overtime without the support from Tyler. So I feel like this is kind of becoming a moot subject, at some point, because we need to hear from the important people, which is who are sitting here in front of us, telling us, we have all of the directors and CFOs and everybody else telling us what they want
Yep.
and what they need in order for the city to function, correctly.
And we did have Tyler come out and do demonstrations for all the departments, for all the different modules, for them to get a good sense of this is how things work in this system. And you could just see light bulbs going off like, oh, I don't have to do these 5 steps anymore. I do this and it's done. I don't have to run a projects register and print and participant and
Every process we do in the GL as well as utility billing is a edit and post. So we have to run the list once just because before we can actually post what we're wanting to do. So that's kind of redundancy that we won't have. We'll just be able to do it and say, okay, yes, that's what I want to do. Please post it. Instead of running the report once, going, yes, I do, click out and go, okay, yes, now please do it. We're doing it twice every time.
Should be good. For the process for the approval thing there, were we gonna go to workshop or did you guys want to go to the full council?
I think we should go to workshop because I think we need to make sure the other council members understand
Sure.
what each staff or department head sees and what they're talking about and what their hope is in the vision with having one software.
Or we could do full council and have a presentation as well, and then we could vote that night,
That's true.
because we are on a small time
That's true,
constraint,
yeah.
but
we were talking about September 3rd workshop and then the following would be council meeting.
yeah.
So I'm happy to do, I know that Jason's kind of hogging a lot of the council meeting time, so.
I won't
if
be
we
there on
took this
I
and-
wouldn't be there on September 3rd.
Then I think a workshop would be a great.
Cause that's, we're gonna have to wait for that next workshop and then to the
And
next.
then the council
member
anyway,
meeting
so.
Anyway, so, okay, perfect.
And if it needs to go to another workshop, then, we do have time.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
no, now you're cutting into my budget.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
And we got a lot of comp plan stuff coming. It's gonna be scary.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Jason and Sherry show.
Ooh, okay.
And how does the funding lay out again, Sherry, for that?
300,000 we've already saved.
Yeah.
So we'll remove the 300,000 in the budget and then the rest is gonna have to come out of the ending fund balance.
Okay.
So it's six.
So, and it looks like, what is it? It's $250,000 a year for,
The 3 years.
no.
Ongoing,
Ongoing,
Oh.
yes.
yeah. So you're okay with that,
I
right?
don't have a choice.
Well, you kind of do, but.
Well,
don't,
not
right?
really. I mean, we have
Same.
to have software,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And it's going
Well,
to
yes.
expire.
Yes.
So we either have to find out, maybe you can find something a little cheaper, but like we said.
No, I
it's all
just
gonna
wanted to
be
make sure it
piecemeal.
was in
Yeah.
your budget.
I wish we could negotiate it, yes.
Cause I don't know what you're paying like now,
That pays
right?
for your Blue Beach.
And if you're
It's,
not paying
About
$250,000.
100,000 less than that.
Yeah, Eden is about 150 a year. And part of that is because we self-host, so we're not paying
Yeah, sure.
cloud fees.
Right,
And
yeah.
And it comes with reduced credit card fees. So,
Yeah.
yay.
Yay.
So the Tyler one does?
yes,
Oh.
so we'll be moving away from yet another third party, Global Payments. And Tyler
And
is
then
also
going
now in the
through
credit card
Tyler.
processing business. And I think they put it right around 1% plus
It
like
should be,
a
but
certain-
you can guarantee if you
what
follow
it
their
was,
trail that they end up
10
going through.
transaction.
transaction.
at some point.
Dude, that's.
But right now we're going from like
One way or the other,
3%
you're
to
going
1,
through Global.
which is,
Need them
Nice.
to be mine,
yeah.
then,
Yeah. People, I
credit
just,
just processing, I was a lot every month now.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a huge number, especially when, Jason's contractors come in and pay $60,000 permits with their corporate card
But
to
I'd
get some
rather
miles.
that than then bring cash because then that,
don't worry.
another
I think we're gonna have some more coming in with big, not cash,
Okay.
but big credit cards.
credit card, I got it.
It's like you take American Express, right?
Usually it's 3 credit cards.
It's like, well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, yeah, let's move it forward then, I guess, to workshop and.
Yeah, on September 3rd.
Yes.
Awesome.
Very good, awesome.
I
Yay.
need to
Sign
save
somewhere.
this for our, see, now I can save this, Leslie,
the next
for
meeting.
the meeting on September
Thank
3rd. And it's got all my contracts, so I don't need those.
And did we have any regular open discussion? I know eventually I'll have an item to talk about, but I don't know if
Any
you guys
what?
had, you guys had anything for open discussion?
Just the paperwork that we discussed, last week.
It was stuff that we were working on.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got the golden copy from, the clerk, so I can get those out to you here shortly.
Okay.
I'll see them probably by the end of this week.
Okay.
Yeah. Karen, did you have anything?
No.
No, yeah, because what I was wondering about, is with what do you guys think the council expects for a budget process? Like Sherry was nice enough to lay us out the dates, right?
Yeah.
But we have the 3 new council members, or I don't know who's all been through it, the process kind of thing.
Actually more because, Councilmember Hubler has not been through budget. Then
Brittany and
Aaron, Brittany,
And
and
the rest have.
I guess Roach is gone. Yes. Trying to remember who got elected, who our new elected.
So a date that's not on there, like I said, is either September 24th or October 1st. She's supposed to be letting me know, maybe she has by now. The mayor and I talked, we haven't had a lot of people wanting to have a one-on-one meeting with us, so I'm gonna do, it's not really a kind of a combined budget 101 with, kind of where we are and how we got here and what cuts the mayor chose to make.
Is that
So-
is that one of the first dates
Yep.
in the process?
Can we do that on
24th.
September 3rd
No,
at the workshop?
I'm not ready.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm still working on the
Yeah.
budget. It's not due to council until the first Monday in October,
Okay,
which I backdated because first Monday in October, obviously, there's no meeting, right? We meet on Tuesdays.
right.
So it's backdated to September 28th, I think. But what I'd like to do either on September 24th is the date I'm asking for. So that way it's kind of at the same time you guys would get the first budget. You'd kind of get a list of my one-on-one or 101, which is basically, what funds we have. And Councilmember Baldwin had a good question last time at one of the meetings she was at and said, wait a minute, how are we buying that? I didn't think we had money. So I'd kind of like to explain
Sure.
where that money's coming from.
Yeah.
I'd also like to explain how we went from when I started, a budget ending fund balance of 3 million up to at some point 30 million, because the council's transferred out money to the cumulative reserve fund. So this is going to be redundancy for you guys that are hearing this. 3 million to the parks, 2 million to the Reed purchase property, and something else. And this will be part of it. So now we're down to 22 million. Still huge in 10 years that we've been able to accumulate that much money. So kind of go over that. And then you're going to get a sheet that shows year over year data for each of the funds and where we're at. That's a unique
Council meeting since.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, wow.
Come on, 20. Yeah.
And so you're gonna get the kind of year over year, so you can kind of see that there is no fluff in this budget. And then you'll get the decision cards. You're gonna get a CIP list. There's a date for that. I think I included in your packet already. That Jason can go over all the CIP projects, why some priorities changed within the years. The mayor wanted him to do that presentation. And then you'll get the decision cards after that, which are the stuff people would like to add to the budget that isn't in the budget. Key there, it is not in the budget. So there's none of this. Well, in the green text, it's already been included. None of this is in the budget. Most of it should and will be one-time monies. And you get to decide, does that make sense where I want to put my money or not? And then you can either move it forward or not, depending on if it's a priority for you guys. The mayor's already reviewed the list. He's already cut the list. And so his recommendations will be moving forward. The last thing I'm going to provide is a list of where we started and the painstaking decisions that the mayor's had to make to get to where we're at now. So
Sure.
did I
Yeah.
leave anything out?
Oh, that sounds good.
So that's going to be the discussion I'm hoping for the 24th.
Well, yeah, if you want it on the 24th, then we can do it on the 24th.
That's, I asked Sadie, so we'll see.
Well, we will see, because I
I
know
don't
who
know,
makes
the
the
agenda for the
agenda. Does that work
24th, I
for you?
haven't had a moment to look, so
And the sooner the better.
that is
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
feeling.
exactly, yeah.
I know Jason's got a ton still coming at us this year too, so.
And a lot of these you'll be doing
Here's
budget,
the procedure.
you'll be doing budget for half the meeting and then comp plan for the other.
So
half.
suspect that we should just bring our dinner and sit.
Pretty much.
What's this? I
We
think
order
we
pizza?
have,
Yeah.
Jason been taking more time, I joke with him that we have a word, how many words he has to make per day.
Yeah.
So.
Abuse. Hey,
Have that. I like to use last words.
Like Costco, going into
So,
Costco.
I think his part's gonna take more than mine, because we've really scaled back the decision cards for you, and there's not a lot. We'll see how his CIP list goes.
So Sherry, do you know, because like one of the challenges, of course, with 22 X number of millions in the, budget, right, for overage.
Money from them.
Yes, one would think that, how did we get there type of thing, right? Right?
So, yeah, I'm gonna kind of show a progression of how that happened, how we got there, and our recommended use for some of this. And then,
Sure,
there's some
sure.
projects in the future that you can possibly use that money towards, obviously the parks, street improvements. Those are gonna be the two areas that you're not gonna have a lot of funding in the future for. So you can use that money for that.
Well, but see, because if somebody was like looking backwards and saying, this is kind of a similar conversation that we always have, right? And we'd be having this conversation, 4 years ago, and it would say, the same thing, this budget is really tight, all this kind of stuff, right? But yet we're here today and we have like
We've always
22
balanced the
million
budget.
extra
I will be honest with you, I'm gonna present you an unbalanced budget. I will be upfront right now and let you know that
Eventually it'll
budget
get
is
balanced
not-
before it gets like inked.
it is not gonna be balanced. I'll be
Well,
upfront with
and when
that.
you say that, you're speaking, telling us that you're gonna have to spend, are you recommending probably,
Yep.
possibly spending some of the ending
Yep.
balance?
Got it.
type of a thing. So, because when you say the word balanced, you're
Yep.
expecting the revenues and expenditures to match and.
Yep.
What kind of.
And so kind of how we got here was departments got more money than we expected, right? We brought in Costco, it possibly,
Oh.
because it's proprietary, possibly brought in money that we weren't anticipating.
Sure.
Or Lowe's, during COVID,
Mhm.
you had your big box stores, people flock to them to buy home improvement products, right? So this money gets set aside because they didn't need to spend everything they asked for. So that money gets put aside into the ending fund balance. There's positions open, like right now I have, a position that's been open now since the 15th. It'll likely be vacant for, and he's fast tracking this for me, but it's likely gonna be vacant for a month and a half. That's savings, right? I'm not spending it.
Sure.
It's gonna be saved. It will help balance any future budget, obviously, for the rest of this month. So
Yeah.
if Chuck spends a little more, maybe my savings helps him out.
And in like my department, we haven't been full staffed in 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. So all of this is added to, as well as the ARPA money.
Well, we allocated all that,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That means other budgets aren't being used because the ARPA funds are being used.
Ding, ding,
instead
ding.
of The regular budget,
ding, ding.
so.
Police.
Yeah.
$3 million,
Because you,
Not
3
coming
million
directly out of our
for.
budget.
3 million. You guys approved, it was 3 million to go back towards police salaries.
Sure.
Obviously, we budget for police
Yes,
salaries.
yeah.
So that's extra that sits in our ending fund balance, so.
And in our permitting, we had a huge, during COVID, we had a huge upswing in permitting.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Everybody had permanent.
yeah, we had,
Yeah.
the number of
Those home offices.
home offices and decks and porches and while they're small projects, the volume, and we had people, we had someone walk in and drop 87 building permits on us in one day for.
I was hearing cities saying how bad things were for them with COVID, and we did not have that hit the way, I mean, obviously with recreation we did, right? There's huge hit there because he couldn't operate. The court system got delayed, they couldn't operate. But other stuff, we were busy.
Okay.
So it just built up over time, 2 million here, 2 million there, and,
That's a long time,
police
though. That's-
vacancy, could be 6 months with background and everything.
Uh-huh.
The savings just built up, so we will be recommending using some.
Sure.
I think it makes us, it does help us in the public eye though to have, they know that we're responsible. You guys aren't overspending when you don't need to. You're saving money that you need to save so that when it's time to maybe we ask for a parks bond, we're gonna look good in the city's eye and go, hey, here's how much we have saved to help.
Well, how did they save money though, if I can ask, right? Type of thing, right?
Well,
So
We don't spend it.
So,
Yeah, but what do you mean by don't spend it? Because you have a budget allocation, it's X.
but not just that,
Right.
I'm more conservative when I put together revenue projections than Mr. Morrison was, right? He was doing projections for,
That's
I
what I was trying to get.
and so we have brought in more money than what we budgeted, and that has added to the savings. So I'll try to do a spreadsheet so that you
Well,
guys can
That,
see that.
and that is what's left over.
Yeah.
There's no savings per se.
It's the ending fund.
Because, when I give Jason's department, whatever, $1 million, I expect him to spend $1 million, right?
But
You heard that, right? You heard that, right? You heard that?
Right?
Five budgets, he's been short staffed, so.
That's fine, and that's, you can, but it didn't save it per se. Because we allocate money, public money for people to do things, and if they're not gonna use that money to do things, then we could have shifted it over to somebody else to do public things, but otherwise we
Well,
would.
trust me, we're all doing our best to spend that money, but when people
Well,
aren't coming. to
for
go
things we
buy-
want them to do,
Yeah,
right?
But I mean,
It's like,
and we
have
are,
to work in their box.
but when you can't keep his department staffed and now I'm having the
Yeah.
part-time
That's
staff,
fine.
you're gonna literally save that money. It's gonna go to your end of fund balance. When I project conservatively for sales tax or
Cause you have
his
to.
permit fees, absolutely, because I'd
The
rather
other
be
end
in
is
that
bad.
position, because the other way is real bad. I'm telling you guys who I
Yeah.
messed up big time, right?
Yeah.
So more money came in than what I was anticipating, and I'm like, yes, well, I'm not gonna go back to you guys and go, can they all spend it now? No, we're gonna set it aside for a rainy day, and we're here to tell you the rainy day is here.
Rainy day funds are fantastic.
Thank you.
They're amazing. Hey, this is my world. Trust me, like what Sherry is talking about is one of the smartest
Yeah,
things
but
a city we can do,
Let's see
truly.
okay, our rainy day fund is what? It's like a couple $1 million, you know, or whatever it is. Is it 2 or 4, whatever it is.
Three.
Right, it's
You have
like
the
the
reserve
continuing.
fund, you've now got the contingency fund, and then the ending fund balance, which is essentially a saving.
The rainy day fund we've never touched or whatever.
Right. And that's 1.2 million.
Yeah, it's like, that's a
That is
rounding error,
That is not enough to be in there, but I'm not allowed to put more money over there by
right?
code either. So we could increase that, move that money to an official rainy day fund.
Those are a joke, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I don't like rainy day funds at all because it's money that is like pointless.
Yeah. and it
Money
would
might
never
steal
cover
from the
us
taxpayer.
For what we'd need, you know.
Anyways, the ending
3
fund
million
balance, you
was
know, when
not
you have an
enough.
ending
3
fund
million's
balance.
uncomfortable to me. So I would not recommend that we continue taking from this. My recommendation, you'll hear at future meetings and what the mayor and I talked about would be to eventually come up with more revenue sources and keep an eye on what's coming in. I'm gonna keep a close eye on what is coming in to see how my projections are. But, and maybe I've under projected by $1 million, you know, that'd be the best case scenario. But I feel 27, 28 is gonna be even worse, and we need to talk about how we're gonna fix that. And that's gonna be some tough discussions we're gonna start having the end of 25.
Is that
26.
based on, is your expenses have went way up, or is it the revenues like?
I mean, this is all spoiler alert, so you can hear this now. You can hear it on September 24th. You've got jail costs that have doubled. They went from 400 to 900. You've got city attorney fees that have tripled. They went from 100 to 300.
Yeah.
The city council added 2 sergeants to the police department last budget when they only asked for 2 upgrades of a sergeant and reducing their staff. They didn't. They got 2 new people. Sadie got a records and disclosure clerk added. Prosecutor's office doubled under Michael. So this is added to the problem. And I mean, you add all of that up right there, you got $1 million. I'm trying to figure out how to fill these holes that
Sure.
somebody else implemented.
Yeah. No, the council did, right? Ultimately, we signed off on a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean.
We don't have to worry about it. No, sorry, that's what we wanted to do, right?
The best information that the mayor brought forward, you know, and this is where we're at.
Yeah, now we're trying to figure.
Now
out.
Mayor Carter gets to fix
Mayor,
it.
like I told him, I said, this is the first time in my career that I will be presenting an unbalanced budget.
Well, yeah, but.
I've worked in government 28 years. I've been doing budgets for 18. So this is the first time.
Well, that, I don't know, we gotta think of a better word, because you know, when I'm a public person out there and I'm hearing.
But it is a
unbalanced,
moving
it's,
budget, though. That's the thing, is
Yeah.
it's an ongoing thing. So it's never truly, you know, balanced anyway, because it's an ongoing process that needs to be.
To make
Just depends on-
Deputy Mayor happy. Expenditures will exceed revenues in my
Right.
prediction for this budget, and this is the first time ever. It's not a comfortable place to
No,
be.
no, because.
Yeah,
see,
That's what
but-
it is called,
Yeah,
right?
but, yeah, no, but by state law, you have to present a balanced budget.
Sure, it'll be balanced
Yeah.
with
Other funds.
reserves.
Yeah.
Yes, the reserves will be pulled in
Yeah,
to make up for those
Yeah.
losses.
Yes.
It's that,
Extra.
it's that big cash flow thing.
because, you know, let's be real. Let's be real. I could obviously bring you an unbalanced budget. and You could say, no, go back and cut people, right? And then that's what the mayor and I would have to sit down, and figure out. Okay, who we're gonna cut? What's $1 million we're gonna cut? Who? You know? So you could. So that's why I say it's an unbalanced budget that I'm presenting, hoping that you will agree to balance
Word
it.
for that.
So.
Different.
And how much have we cut so far?
$3 million. So I'm gonna show you everything. We went from about
Very
five,
good.
A lot.
yep, we went from about a $5 million unbalanced budget down to about 1 million each year.
That's great. Good job.
So
Yeah.
he's made some tough decisions.
That'll be a fun little budget class, because I'll be.
Oh, I don't
Trying to
think I
get
want to
you.
hear about those. They'll
Uh,
really
Statement, I think.
We're adjourned.
have some
That would be
that-
amazing.